As rescue efforts continue in Afghanistan, veteran support organizations have come together to form Save Our Allies. They have a mission to save Afghan and Iraqi allies who have served side by side with our U.S. armed forces. And we do have some who are among those brave men and women in the Middle East who are trying to help our allies. We have both Tim Kennedy and Nick Palmisciano who are joining us here today. And let's just begin, guys, with us starting with Save Our Allies, because I know it is a collab that's been brought together here. And so let's just start with that right away.
Save Our Allies are our mutual friend, Chad Robichaux. He called us. The genesis of it all was his translator, Aziz, who he had deployed to Afghanistan with 8 different times, was being hunted by the Taliban. And he was a very high-level target. And as soon as we knew that the withdrawal was going to happen, there was no question that Aziz was going to be murdered by the Taliban. So the initial part was, let's go get our friend's interpreter and get him out of the country. Then we found out about an orphanage that was, of course, going to be targeted because there were a lot of young girls in the orphanage, and they had been educated and westernized, as the Taliban would look at it. They just learned how to read, but that is not going to go for them under the Taliban government. And then it ended up with us finding a partner in the Middle East that said they would help us get 3,500 people out. And then 10 days later, we moved 12,000 people and relocated 8,911 of them. So that's where we're at now.
It's been an insane.
Okay,
it's been just an insane. Yeah, this is really a thing that started with one guy, and then one veteran after another kept getting added to it, and the next thing you know, I mean, our entire organization for the last 2 weeks has been 12 people. And it's all people just like Tim and I. In fact, Tim and I would tell you right off the bat that we are not the people that have been working hardest on this. Veterans that people have never heard of that have done amazing work are, on 24 hours notice, we're buying tickets with their own money to the Middle East to set up a base camp. And we've essentially been doing flights in and out of Kabul nonstop for the last 10 days. And, our numbers are second only to the DOD in terms of getting people out of the country. So it's one of the proudest moments that I've personally had. And it speaks to the type of people that are in the veteran community. It's really been just amazing.
I mean, you guys talk about, it's about 12 of you, but you've now helped evacuate 12,000, more than that. Again, it's really a huge undertaking. So talk about the work that you guys do there on the ground in the Middle East. I know you guys just left the Middle East, but talk about some of the logistics of actually being there during this really intense time.
Yeah, it's I just can't say enough about how remarkable this team was. Nick's a West Point officer, Ranger, and I'm a career in Special Forces, and neither of us in our official capacity, we're just volunteers there. And we were like the bottom of the barrel. The rest of the team were the most professional, extraordinary men that we've ever had the opportunity to work with. And what we had was 2 different cells. We had a cell in DC and a cell that was forward in the Middle East. And those 2 operation bases were taken in. We had almost 30,000 requests to get specific people out. They would send the visas, they would send the pictures, the passports, whether it was an SIV or a green card, whatever the documentation was about why this person was allowed to be removed. Once that was in place, then we had to do a positive communication with them and prove that was them and where they were in real time. Then we set up a link up point where that person with that paperwork would meet at the right time at the right place, and then they would have 2 signals. So they have a near and a far to confirm that this was the right person coming to the right location at the right time with the right paperwork. So with those things alone, it pretty much eliminates the ability of a forgery or a fake. And then we have to smuggle that person onto the airbase. And this is where, that undertaking alone, taking 30,000 potential, rescues and finding them in a war zone while the Taliban is actively searching with hundreds of checkpoints around the city, that was remarkable in itself. And then there was the process, the operation of getting them out. And without going into the kind of the trade craft of it, we had to smuggle them, rat line them in through a variety of methods to bring them onto base, past the Taliban, and onto the air base, so then we could get them on an airfield and onto a ramp, onto a plane, and then flown safely to a place where we could give them care because they were hurting.
And I think it's really important that we highlight that even though this was a veteran effort, we did have the support of Department of State, Department of Defense. They gave us our own ramp and our own hangar in Kabul. Once they saw how effective the organization was, we literally had, a huge plot that was run, just by our organization. And so that, it was a credit to them. In a normal time, there's no way that DOD would have made that decision, but everybody realized that this was a good time to maybe make some changes to those kinds of policies. So huge credit to DOS and DOD for recognizing that, and we really appreciate everything that they did to allow this mission to happen.
And I think I have to bring up a point, too, as you guys have been kind of speaking to. You have been working with forces that are already there on the ground. There has been some people who've given you guys some controversy and some flack for being over there and saying that you might be in the way of others. You might be taking away spots from some refugees trying to get out of the country. So I know you guys have addressed that on your own kind of platforms, but let's just talk about that, too. How do you address these concerns that people have of you being over there and being present when you aren't actually active military members who are there on the grounds?
Sure. I think that it is really important for people watching to understand what it looks like in the veteran community right now. So I don't care who you are. I don't care what capacity you served in. Everybody that I know has a list of people that they are trying to get out. And for a lot of people, that trying to get out just means that they have a WhatsApp list of, people that might be serving on the ground, and they're desperately trying to get their interpreter to somebody that might be at the gate or might be working staff in Kabul, and, all the way to people like us that are fortunate enough that we have, the connections and the ability to be here and actually be doing things, in Kabul. So everybody is desperately trying to get people out. It is a horrific environment on the ground. I don't want to go into it in great detail, but it's one of the worst things that you're going to see anywhere in terms of just the desperation. And so tensions are extremely high. And, there was an incident where essentially two different leaders, and to be super clear, contrary to what, has been said, Tim was not leading the team that had this altercation. But there was essentially an incident with two leaders, both trying to do their jobs, that did not have higher echelon kind of work out the differences between those things. And it resulted in some problems. These kinds of things happen all the time.
In a war zone.
In a war zone where everyone knows the clock is ticking, where everyone is trying to get people out. And essentially, it honest to God came down to another leader didn't have the same list that we had and didn't want to let our list in without higher approval. And it caused a problem. And that was it.
It took a few hours, and minutes were precious there. Concurrently to that one location, we had three other rat lines that were operating at that exact moment. So while people saw me in that moment, as I was working that rat line that ultimately collapsed, we were still smuggling in 1,200 people that day at that exact moment. And if the roles were reversed and I was trying to bring somebody in through a specific location and there's this big altercation in front of me that's impeding my ability to get in my people, I would be furious as well. So I am totally empathetic and sympathetic to that. But the people that we were working with and the way that we were executing this, so you wrap your head around 12,000 people in the course of just over 1 week that we moved privately in a turnkey operation off of our own ramp with our own planes into our own place. Like, there's behind the Department of Defense and Department of
using our organization's money
and Department of State, nobody moved more people, and the people that we moved had a verification process and a bona fides process that was superior to everyone else and more complex and more rigorous. We brought in more people and we made sure that they were the right people much more intently than anyone else.
And again, this is not a cowboy operation. We were tasked, literally, if you walked into headquarters, our task force is up on the wall. We had approval to do all of this. We had our own hangar. We were operating under the auspices of a special envoy. Everyone involved are very serious people. And I just can't say that enough. Like, this is not a couple of dudes walking into Afghanistan trying to be cool. This is a very professional organization with a lot of backing and coordination with both DOD and DOS, and it was hugely successful. And very candidly, I can't remember many things that made me more proud to be an American than the 12 individuals that were involved in this, but more importantly, the thousands of individuals that were desperately trying to do the same thing and were feeding us people that they wanted to evacuate. And I mean, the veteran community tried so hard to do the right thing, and there is nobody trying to take credit. Like, we get asked, are you guys the Pineapple Express? And we're not. But man, I love those guys for doing what they're doing.
Good job, guys.
They got 500 people out, and that's phenomenal. And they're not the only ones. Like, everybody just tried their best. And unfortunately, no matter how hard we tried, this was going to end in tears. Everybody knew that at the end, like, we weren't going to get everybody, and the Taliban were going to kill people. And it was a hard week. But I've never been more proud to be an American. Everybody had a huge heart on this.
Well, and I have to ask you guys, because you guys have had experience, in your military careers being over in the Middle East, and now to voluntarily go back and put yourself into a very dangerous situation. I know you really credit everyone else, but I have to ask, what made you guys really have the mentality and the mental strength and also the physical strength, to emotional strength, to go back, put yourself into these situations, to go and help more than 12,000 people evacuate the country?
For Chad Robichaud and Sarah Berardo, of the Independence Fund, they're both two people that we really respect. They both asked us if we would help on the same day, and we bought a ticket I want to say 24 hours later, and we were on a plane 48 hours later because we needed to get a COVID test.
Yeah, you're emotionally strong, physically strong. I feel broken and raw right now. This was the most emotional week, and having been at war for 20 years and being in the military now for 17 years, I've never seen anything like this or done anything like this. This is less sleep than I've ever had my whole entire life. One of my teammates on the ground in Kabul, he lost 37 pounds in 10 days. And he, again, another example of this remarkable, extraordinary professional.
Total stud.
That was he has more talent in his pinky than I have in my whole entire body. Yep. And he did more with Sean Gabler, our team leader on the ground, that you can't measure the amount of life and suffering that they saved and suffering that they prevented. It was absolutely astounding.
And I know you guys said you now have made your way out of the Middle East. You're now talking with some potential partner nations. So speak to that a little bit as well, because I know a lot of people just are trying to follow your journey as you're still continuing to help these Afghan refugees, all of our allies out there.
Yeah, watching the movie unfold on the news, like these dramatic images, rescue operations, the Pineapple Express, see 12,000 people. Like, that's not the end of this mission. Like, this mission in the core, the nucleus of it all is the people, the most remarkable, hardworking, selfless people, both Afghans and American citizens that were in Iraq or in Afghanistan. They fought side by side us. 4,000 some odd Americans, I don't know the exact number, died in Afghanistan. 60, 70, 80,000 Afghans died fighting for their nation. The ones that survived are the ones that were here, that were going to be hunted by the Taliban. These were brave men and women that fought for their country and fought beside us. I mean, those are the real heroes of this story. And they're interpreters, they're school teachers, they're pilots, they're musicians, they're women that are school teachers. Like, that's not going to be allowed in the Taliban world. So now the mission's not over. While we're not allowed currently to get any more out of Kabul, even though that there are nearly 100,000 that are going to be targets by the Taliban, or that there are 10,000 plus Americans still in Afghanistan. That aside, the ones that are out, we now have to, in the most efficient, effective, and dignified way, find them a permanent home that they can start growing roots and live the life that they fought for, they deserved, and that they wished for.
Yeah, our partner in the Middle East has truly been phenomenal. We cannot say enough about the conditions that of the refugee camps. I'm talking about, like, every room is 2 beds. There is a television. There is a gaming system. It has its own bathroom.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioned. Just, truly amazing. And both, our organization and our partner want to make sure that everybody is moved to a place where they will live with dignity. So it's not about throwing people into camps where they're living in tents and they're behind a chain link fence. It's about finding countries that are willing to invest the time and effort into making sure that these hardworking people end up as productive members of society and have a real chance. And so Tim and I are in the first country that we've visited.
And moved people.
And we've moved 150 of our refugees here. It's been amazing to see the difference, because, we saw these people, we flew these people out on planes. And when we took that first plane trip out, and there were 46 babies on this plane, 46 infants, and not a single one cried on the 3-hour journey, because they were so exhausted and they were so dehydrated, and the condition was so bad. And then to see those same kids today in this country playing in the grass, having volunteer teachers from this country playing with them, playing games, doing art, and they're laughing, and it's like, these are not, how are these the same kids? It was a healing moment, but it's only for 150. And so, we got about 12,000 people out. We got 8,911 into the host nation that we're working with. And so we've now moved 150. There are a whole bunch more that need to be moved. And so, that's the follow-on mission that Tim and I are attacking now.
So let me just ask finally, what can we do to help? Because I know a lot of people, we can't be the ones going out to these countries. We can't be the ones volunteering to head to the Middle East. So what can we be doing to support the continued effort that you guys are doing with Save Our Allies?
Yeah, see, everybody can do something. Don't feel helpless. I know a lot of military members, they felt helpless, even active duty, because they wanted to go and do something. I have colleagues that were like, it was tearing their soul out to watch what was unfolding and not being able to do anything. But you're not helpless. You can go and volunteer at a community center. You can go down to the mosque and play soccer. You can go and find families that are relocating, connect with them, cook meals with them, help them mow their grass. They've never had grass before. Show them how to fill up a doughboy pool. They've never had a pool before. Like, all of the things that are so commonplace in our world are going to be so alien to them. And, obviously SaveOurAllies.org is the organization. It's the culmination. It's this collective of us, a few different nonprofits from Mighty Oaks and the Independence Fund, a whole bunch of different companies from Raven, Sheepdog Response, all coming in to try and ensure that this is a success. We're playing the long game here. This is going to take 6 months to a year. Sometimes we're going to be paying for the living cost of these people while they get their feet underneath them. So if you can't donate, we understand. And if you can't hop on a plane and fly to the Middle East, don't feel bad. There's plenty of ways that you can contribute and you can make a difference, but it will take work. And if you're going to shy away from work and you don't want to volunteer, well, you can live with your regret, but there are so many ways that you can make a positive difference, but you have to do it.
And I do want to add once again to all of the veterans out there that sent the emails, that sent the WhatsApp messages, that tried so hard to make a difference from where you are. Feel good about that.
Yeah, you made a difference.
Don't feel like you didn't do enough. Like, none of us were able to do everything that we wanted to do.
There's 18,000 names on our list that we didn't get out. 18,000. That sucks forever. More to do.
And I'm sure that everyone who you have helped rescue in these final days appreciates that. Again, more than 12,000 people that you guys have helped. So I know that no matter if you even left one behind, it would still hurt the same. But you guys have really done a great service, not only to our country, but to those allies in their country as well. So we do appreciate you guys coming here and joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And I do want to say, hopefully we can just continue to share your message as you continue work across the Middle East, across all those partner nations you're going to be working with. And we appreciate both of you guys. Once again, we have Tim Kennedy and Nick Palmisciano who are here with us today, and hopefully you guys can just continue to share your message no matter where you guys are.
Thanks so much for having us.